I know, it is a rare front-facing video for me, although I do have a couple of them scheduled. Today, we're going to talk about the Rough Draft Challenge by Sarah Cannon at Heart Breathings, and I'm going to talk to you about how it all went. Hi, my name's Leanne Shawler. I am a writer and an artist, and today we're talking about the Rough Draft Challenge and how it went for me. I decided to take on this Rough Draft Challenge because I needed to get back into a routine of writing again after some, major life stuff happening and finding, a fresh balance to the day. And I thought with some rough calculations that, me and math do not get along, but with some rough calculations, I could get to the end of this first draft in 60 pages. And I figured out that would be like 1.5 sprints a day, which turned out to be roughly 45 minutes. I did tend to write for a bit longer. It was closer to an hour and a half. Per sprint, I would get 2 pages done. So I worked out, once I figured out all the days that I wouldn't be doing any writing, that 60 pages was doable and would get me also to the end of the book. So how did we do? First, I achieved 60 pages. It was on the 18th of July. That's stuck in my memory. And that was the first day of the virtual writing retreat. The virtual writing retreat, I think, was a kick in the pants to resume the writing if we'd fallen off the wayside and have a chance of meeting our goals. But I'd already met it. However, by that point, the novel had already taken a major turn. It is, I should probably tell you, an Arthurian prequel to my current The Modrigai Chronicles series. The Modrigai Chronicles are set during the Regency period 1814 through 1820. Yes, 1814 through 1820. And it involves Miss Ida Theopendir and her friends looking for Arthurian treasures, and some of her friends are shape-shifting sea dragons. A lot happening there. The Arthurian prequel has a side serving of sea dragon, and they run the external plot, some of it. And it was going to be a second chance romance for 2 older characters. And it was a story I had written the first few chapters of many, many moons ago, like 15, 20 years ago. And I love this book. I love these characters. I have lived with these characters probably since my teenage years in one form or another. And finally, to get to tell and write their story was just the bee's knees for me personally. And then I started second guessing myself. I thought, well, am I hitting all the beats of a second chance romance? I've never written a second chance romance before. I have several romance novels under my belt, but second chance romance? No. So I looked stuff up and then I'm like, okay, so you need to see the meet cute. You need to see the breakup scene. And then I'm like, why don't I just write all of it? The meet cute, the fall in love, the breakup scene. So once I had written that breakup scene, I had decided by that point the whole romance needed to be told from soup to nuts, the whole bit. And I'm still in the process of doing that. My goal for this challenge was 60 pages, and my total was 113.5 pages. So double. Part of that was due to the fact that I had blocked out days that I thought I wouldn't be writing, and I got a huge opportunity to do nothing but write on those days. So I piled on the pages on those days. And part of it is I underestimate everything. The good thing about the Rough Draft Challenge is you can set your own goal. You do not have to finish a rough draft in the 31 days. No, sir. You can set whatever goal you like. It could be how many hours a day or minutes a day you want to do for the challenge. And then, if you meet your goals of all those minutes, you've won the Rough Draft Challenge. For me, it was handwritten pages, is what I write in. So what didn't work about this? First, I mathed wrong, but it wasn't actually wrong because what this did succeed in me doing was recreating or firming up a writing routine. So that those 2 sprints a day, I could check those boxes. I do love a good checkbox and say, yes, I have done writing for the day and move on to the next thing. Let's go over what didn't work well, and it was all planner-based. Editing Leanne coming in here just to say that I do wanted to add that this planner is great. It had everything anybody would possibly need in order to complete a rough draft challenge, from setting up scenes and plotting out the whole outline of the book, etc., and so forth, and tracking it. It's just, for me, the number of things that were added in didn't actually work for me, partly because I'd already outlined everything, partly because I don't follow that system of outlining, and also it turns out that tracking down here, tracking totals day to day, week to week, was enough for me. I didn't need to do all the extra tracky things. I kept forgetting to fill in these number of sprints that was supposed to get me to 60. As you see, I had said earlier, I think at the 18th, but it was actually the 17th. I grossly underestimated the number of sprints that I would need to get to the final number. Somehow my math didn't math. What a shock. But yeah, didn't use this. I started using the word count, although I was doing it as a page count. I just didn't understand these columns, and I looked on the videos and couldn't figure out what that meant. So that got abandoned very quickly. Didn't use this page at all. I started on the game board, but again, forgot all about it. If I don't see it, I don't use it. So those were all things that I did not use. I did use, I didn't like that I printed my cover upside down. I did use the weekly thing, and I would write down what I was doing that day, and use the top part for like how many sprints I wanted to do, and the bottom part for the daily stuff. But I already plan in a different planner, and this just seemed a little extra, so I'm not going to continue doing that with this. As you'll see, I am going to continue using this planner, but in a very restricted way. This is what I loved. I loved that daily I knew how many pages I had. I knew how many pages I had left to write. I loved setting the intention for the day, getting me into the right mindset. That, along with the practice of using lotion. I liked writing out the scenes, even though I didn't get to them. There's one week in here somewhere. Where is it? All right, where does this start? Here, word of Irish raid. Word of Irish raid. Word of Irish raid. Irish raid announcement scene finally gets done like 5 days later. But I liked having it there to list what I wanted to write next. I do sometimes write all over the shop, and this book has turned out that way. I was just going to do a linear, straightforward, here's the beginning of her seeing Marcus again, and then continuing forward until the end of the book. And then I read about, I think I mentioned this, a second chance romance, and how you had to have a breakup scene and a meet cute scene and the moment they fell in love scene. And I'm like, why don't I just write the whole damn romance? So that's what I'm doing. So I love the scenes to write. I loved listing how many pages I got done in each sprint. This mood today, we went from to hopeful. It was okay. I liked reminding myself what I loved about the story, which is varied, but often it was just Bedwin and Marcus's characters. I adore them. And then a daily wrap-up. I made a note that Arthur's punishment should be help me fix this slate is kind of lame, so let's fix that for the next go-around. I made a note that I had to delete more pages to make it make more sense. I also loved the weekly wrap-up pages. You can see here I've changed word count to page count all the way through, and of course I mathed wrong again there. So I made notes of what worked well that week and what didn't work well. I learned that the writing sprints that I follow on YouTube, I like sitting down. I didn't talk about this, but I do like sitting down with a good writing sprint, even in a replay form. And, as they're chatting, I'm putting on the hand cream that I'm using. I'm making sure my ink is filled in my fountain pen. I'm rereading what I wrote the day before just to get back into the flow. And then writing. And I use my own playlist. I have an amazing playlist for my book. And if I remember, I will update it on Spotify and link to it. If I don't remember, maybe I'll just do a special video. I don't know. But I learned that if I can hear the host typing on their mechanical typewriter, it just was too distracting. So now I know I need to follow the ones that are silent. I also found someone, Kay Paquet, who does like music, and that was really helpful for when I was doing a chase scene, because it was that very driving forward type music, very fantasy based. It actually worked quite well. So those are the two writing sprints that I could really do well on, is that they're either silent or there's some decent music that's not too distracting. I do on replays, if I'm in flow, will tend to just skip forward the chat and go to the next writing sprint. I might get up, make a cup of tea, and then come back, get moving. But other than that, I will fast forward, especially if it goes on for longer than 5 minutes. So the weekly wrap-up worked up very well. And as a result, printed out the any month start. We're going to start on Monday. As I said, I'm going to take 2 days off. So I've gone through, I've got a tab for each week. So when I do the summary at the end, I can find it pretty easily. I've kept the notes section from the previous one because I haven't used up all those pages. All right, so here are some other things that I learnt. We'll just have a look at this weekly progress scene. You can start, this is a short week because I started late. But I'm averaging around 20 pages. This was the big week that I didn't expect to do as much writing and got a ton done instead. A crazy amount of writing. I think basically spent 2 days writing. And this is what I learned. This is the week that I took the break. And as you can see, I wrote less on week 5 and a little bit more in week 2, but not massively different on either side. So I learned that if I have to pause, it's not going to massively slow me down. So that was excellent. I really need to think about the upcoming storyline, especially when I haven't thought about it. The issue. So I have definitely learned that I need to slow down sometimes and just think through the storyline. The reason why is because, like, I wrote this story years ago. I've lived with these characters for years, and it's just been, the second chance romance was the clearest thing in my mind when I started this book. And I hadn't planned to do the initial romance, so I'm kind of feeling my way back through that. Like, I remember, like, telling myself this story years ago, certain things that happened, and now it's just like, well, now I need to make it make sense. Because when you tell the story to yourself, it changes over time. And so I'm trying to get back to that sense of them as younger people, what they would be like, and what their issues are. And I've got that pretty much laid out. And now it's just bringing it all into fruition. I am going to continue. All I'm going to do are the daily pages and the weekly wrap-up and use that for the next month. So hopefully in the next month, I will get this first draft finished. So that is the goal. The new goal is to get the rough draft actually finished in this coming month. I think that's doable. I am actually going to be taking a couple of days off now at the end of the rough draft challenge. Today is Saturday, tomorrow is Sunday, and then Monday I'm hoping to get back into it. Monday is also the first day of a fantasy short story challenge over on Substack, and I want to play with that because it's all dragon themed. So I really want to do that. But I'm kind of at the point, I discovered I'm a bit of a plotter pantser. Like, I know the big points, but I also need to see what actually happens within those plot points in order to be able to write it. So I'm up to the point of the forced proximity. If you've been following along on my writing vlogs, you know I've been aiming for this point the whole time. And now I need to just get those details in my head so I can get it down onto the page. And that I need some time just to think and marinate about it. So that's today and tomorrow. If you've been watching along, I took an actual 4-day break during this rough draft challenge because I was really stuck on how to get to a scene. It wasn't coming clear in my head how to get to that point. And taking a long drive down to Sydney actually worked for me in letting that shake loose. I don't have any long drives planned this weekend, but I'm hoping for just some quiet, like non-scrolly brain time in order to get that done. So that is what's next for me. I'm going to take the core of Sarah's planner and those daily pages and keep writing and see what happens after this 2 to possibly 3 day break. I may use that first day on Monday to write a short story. We'll see. So that's how the rough draft challenge went for me. I highly recommend doing this if you need to get into a writing routine, if you like the idea of setting your own goals, and so you don't have to like go all out in trying to achieve some sort of impossible goal like 50,000 words or 1,000,000 words a year. My goodness. You can just pick your goals, be it pages, words, hours, and use this month to set up a sustainable writing routine for yourself. That's what I think I have done. The test will be when I try to put it into action for the month of August. So we shall see how that goes. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this summation of the Rough Draft Challenge. Did you do the Rough Draft Challenge yourself? Let me know below and how it worked for you. And also, coming up next, we have a dollhouse tour for Ida Thea's house, and we have a tag video, and then some more writing vlogs. We'll go back to the faceless stuff because